Hey everyone, this is Jake from Optimus Futures bringing you a new TradingView tutorial. And in this video, we'll be covering volume profile. We'll show you what's new, what's improved, and how to just configure volume profile on the platform, how to customize it the way you like, and how to utilize it. So first up, let's show you simply how to add volume profile to the TradingView platform. At the top of your page, you can go ahead and click on the indicators, metrics, and strategies section right here. And when you click on this button, it will open a similar looking screen. It should start off on favorites, so you'll want to either do one of two options. You can type in volume right into the search bar, and everything volume related will pop up, including the volume profile indicators that I'll be showing you here today. Or you can simply click on technicals, and then you'll see there is a little bubble here for volume profile. When you go ahead and click on that, you will see the new and improved or the existing volume profile features that TradingView has had. Now, one of the most notable features that has been changed or has been added to volume profile is the ability to separate sessions. And that's on the VPSV, which is the volume profile session volume indicator, which is this one right here. Now, if you plan on using these features often, or you have multiple charts and you plan on reconfiguring your charts often, I would suggest to click on these little stars right here. In that way, it'll add it to your favorite menu. And that way you don't have to go through and search for volume every time. Once these are favorited, you can just go to your favorite section here and you can find them all listed right here. Now let's first focus on the volume profile session volume. All you need to do to add it is double click it to your chart. I accidentally added it twice, and now you can manage your volume profile right directly through your chart. So if you look up in the top left, you'll see your indicator list. To turn it on and off, you can click the little eye icon which says hide. And more importantly, what we need to focus on is how to customize these indicators. So to do so, you can click on settings, and we want to go to inputs. Now, as I mentioned, the newest thing added to this feature specifically is the ability to separate sessions. Previously, and how it's set to now, and which is still the default, the session was just all. There was no ability to display certain sessions. It would just take the entire market data on your chart and spit out volume profile for that. Now, we have a new input, sessions. This determines how the VPSV indicator will be built when the extended hours display is turned on. So just keep in mind, you have to have extended hours enabled. You have to have enough data on your chart enabled to pull this in. So make sure you put your extended hours or enable that for the ability to actually see and access this indicator. So as long as you confirm extended hours has been turned on, if this is set to all, which again is the default, this indicator will consider the pre-market, main trading session, and post-market session as just one entire session. One profile will be built for each trading day, and it will include the volume for all transactions, starting from the first pre-market candle and ending with the last post-market candle. This is how the indicator worked, as I mentioned, on extended hours previously. And just to give you an example, this is essentially what that looks like when it's set to all. Like you can see, it's creating a volume profile for each day of data essentially that I have on my chart right now. Now, if we go back to our settings, let's look at the new session types. The newest one they've added is called each. This each, which as you can see in parentheses, it includes pre-market, market, and post-market. This option allows you to build a separate volume profile for each part of the trading day session. This takes into account, or only takes into account, deals made during that period. So if the symbol has extended hours with pre-market, main session, and post-market, the indicator will build 3 separate profiles for each day. Let's see what that looks like here. Going back up to our settings, the next option are dedicated for both, or for pre-market, market only, or post-market only. And again, this is essentially, exactly as it describes. If you set it to pre-market only, it's only going to build volume profile for the pre-market session. If you do it for market only, it's essentially only real-time hours. And then finally, if you do post-market, that's your overnight session. And depending, of course, how you customize it, you can see they will display differently. Right now, we're still in the middle of the section. So as you can see, this isn't even configuring any data for me. That's why I made an emphasis on the extended hours option. Like you can see, there's no post-market right now, so I'm not getting any post-market data. I can set this to pre-market, each or all, and it will configure data because that data has already, been made available. But you just do need to keep that in mind if you're going to be using this feature. Depending on the hours you have available on your chart, that is how the volume will display itself. And then, of course, you do have your other options here, such as volume up or down. You can have total volume. You can see the differences there in the background with the colors. You could have total area of volume, which you can customize. You can customize the number of rows and how it's laid out. So you can do number of rows or by ticks. You can increase or decrease the row size. And then if you'd like your POC, your VAH, or your VAL extended, you can click on these options and it will extend those levels the entire duration of your chart. With style, if you do want to customize any of your volume profile colors or settings, if you don't like VWAP or POC as red or VAL as blue, for example, feel free to simply just click on these corresponding options, click on the color you'd like it adjusted to, and then simply click OK. And then finally, visibility. This is somewhat related to that extended hours I mentioned before. You can make or display these minutes, seconds, weeks, month ranges available. You can turn them on and off as needed depending on what you want displayed. So those are pretty much all the options for this updated VPSV indicator. Let's turn our attentions to an actual new indicator that they've added. So going back up to our new indicator section here, going to the new one added is called volume profile periodic volume. The acronym is VPPV. So if we go ahead and click on that and add it to our chart, and let's access our settings, this volume profile indicator allows you to build volume profiles for periods longer than one trading day. So essentially, if you have a bunch of data on your chart and you want volume profiles for each session, this is the indicator for you. The profiling principle and input parameters for VPPV are similar to the ones mentioned in our last indicator, the VPSV, but instead this indicator builds one general volume profile for each new period. This is set by the user themselves through the period field, so we can choose, our bar style or, our day, our month, the week, and set that period up here. And then we can configure volume area, rows, and row size just like the other one. Now, this period multiplier is set in the first field itself, right here, like I showed you. And then, of course, you can choose those values, as I mentioned as well. So, for example, if you set it 1 month as the input parameter for period, then each volume profile plotted on the chart will include the volumes of all trades made from the first day to the last day of every available month on your chart. So because this chart is so small, I'm going to have to mess around with it and configure it for a longer time frame in order to see those volume profiles. So as you can see, I just made this into a 1-year chart, and of course I need to get myself organized here because this is a lot more data than what I was just working with. But as described, and at least this is available for this current contract, I'm on the June of the micro NQ, the micro NASDAQ of June 2022. Here we have up to a year worth of volume profile essentially set as every 1 month span. And again, you can customize this as needed. Just come up to this cogwheel in the top left. If you want to make this 1 per day, you can do so. It'll take a second to load here because that is quite a bit of data. But as you saw, that is what the 1 month option looks like. And again, your POC, you're extending your VAL or your VAH. Those options are still available here. Same coloring options as well, and same thing with visibility and extended hours. All right, so moving on from that newest indicator, the VPPV, let's go to another existing indicator that has already been around on the platform, but let's show you how to add this and how to access some of the newest updates to this specific indicator itself. So going back to our indicators window here, I'm going to go to my favorites since I've already favorited all of them. And let's go to the next updated one, which is the VPFR, the volume profile fixed ranged. Now for this, you'll see it's a little bit different, but we need to click a set point. So let's just click somewhere on our chart. No real rhyme or reason for the section of data I'm choosing here, but let's just build the volume profile in this section of data. Here, let's make it a little larger so we get a little bit more data to work with. And let's go ahead and click enter on my keyboard, press left click, and now we have a volume profile section for this chunk of data right here. Now, if you want to access the settings, you'll notice since this is not on the whole chart, we don't have the little view or disable or settings options up here in the top left like we normally do. So with this chunk of data, you're just going to click on it. You see I get a little bubble that shows the span of data. This also shows that it's activated. And then you can just right click on top of this indicator here to access your settings. So now this volume profile fixed range indicator, it now has the ability to extend the right input parameter, which disables the right boundary of the calculation. When you add this indicator to the chart, you first specify a fixed period of 2 coordinates, the start and the end profile. So we already showed you that. I chose one section of data to the left, and then I moved it over to the right here. Those were the first steps. And then the indicator is then built based on the data for this specified period only. Now this new parameter, extend right, allows you to continue to build the profile and include all historical data and all emerging new candles to the right of the second coordinate. So essentially, this is just a fixed volume profile, a section of data that you're choosing. And unlike before, where it just stopped at the right point, so this point right here that I ended up moving, this new feature, this extend right, will essentially just continue to compile and build your volume profile as new data comes in. So rather than having to go back, every day or every time you look at this and having to, recustomize it and, re-drag this dot all the way over to the right to get the new data, with this extend right feature, it completely avoids that entirely, and this is just doing it for you automatically. So that's the newest addition, they've made to this is the extend right. Exactly how I described it, just picks up new data and continues to build the volume profile for your fixed range. Instead, it just captures the new data as well. And nothing too different here in your customization settings. The same, width and color and adjustment settings that we've seen before. This is actually kind of cool. Coordinates, you can actually just type in coordinates of your chart. This is possible if you want to do this manually and you're familiar with the coordinate system and how this works on TradingView. Otherwise, in my opinion, it may be just a little bit easier to drag these dots up or down or left and right depending on how much data you actually need here. So something cool and unique that you don't see too much, but again, it's just a little bit of learning curve to it. All right, so moving on from the fixed range volume profile, let's move on to one of the other new or updated volume profile features that TradingView has. This is, of course, very similar to the other volume profile, the VPSV we discussed before. This one is VPSV HD. So if we go ahead and add it to our chart, again, this is pretty similar to the other input we've covered before, but this newest version of volume profile is of course called HD. And with session volume HD, as you change your chart's time frame or zoom in and out, the session volume HD indicator will dynamically determine the optimal number levels of display, giving you a more detailed levels for specific sessions of trading. So unlike the other one that does not dynamically scale, it's static. This, as you move it up or down or left and right, this will automatically start to dynamically expand for you and continue to filter in more volume profile or adjust it as needed to automatically display and configure with your actual setup rather than having to adjust those levels and do everything manually. So not too much difference here. I figured I would cover it because it is pretty unique. This is available to Pro Plus, or Premium users, so feel free to take advantage of this HD one instead if you prefer the look and how it dynamically adjusts over time rather than just staying static. Now for our final volume profile indicators, we've actually touched on these features within the video so far, but they have been added and I want to make that a standpoint. So TradingView has actually added POC, VAL, and VHH lines on all your volume profile indicators. So for all volume profile indicators, they have added the ability to display the upper VAH and lower VAL boundaries of the value area on the chart. And again, you can access those by just clicking on your indicator here or accessing your indicator list on the top left and then going to settings, or just of course right clicking and then going to settings here. Now I did, as I mentioned, already show you briefly these features, but unlike previously, you can now extend the VAL, VAH, and the POC all the way to the right, so it extends the whole section of your chart. And then as well, the style and those volume up or down areas that weren't previously there, are now available and customizable, and you can see those here. So these lines essentially provide a convenient visual representation of the boundary values of the value area, in which n% of transactions are made for the specified period. The value area high and the value area low lines are located approximately at the price level that the maximum allowable for making a buy or sell transactions for n% of traders, where n corresponds to the value area volume input parameter. And again, for these VPBV, VPSV, and the VPSVHD, which I have on my chart right now, it is now possible to extend the point of control, value area, or value area low lines to the intersection with the nearest bar, which makes it easier to visually identify the breakdown of these levels, which we've already covered under the inputs right here. So as you can see, TradingView has added quite a bit here. A lot of nice and new features for our volume profile users, a lot more visibility, a lot more transparency, and just overall a whole lot more customizable than it previously was. So we hope you find these new features helpful. It's always nice to stay on top of new things that are coming to TradingView and what they have available. You could always stay on top of that on their blog, and they do post new updates and new features that they've added. That's where we found these features, and we want to make them transparent and public to our clients and users of TradingView. So we do hope you find this video helpful. We hope you find these features helpful and the new customization that TradingView has added. If you do have any questions or need help getting this configured or adding this to your own platform, please reach out to us. Head over to our community forum and ask any questions you may have there, or you can set up time with one of us to talk, and we can help you and walk you through the platform and give you some ideas on how to configure these for yourself. So please let us know if you have any questions. We're here to help, and thanks for watching this video.